Once there was a Jew, a very depressed Jew, a very genius Jew. Doesn't say the name, his name. Genius person, and it could be that even in the story, maybe it does tell us his name, but I don't know. Anyway, so but he was a very angry and what do you call it? A disenfranchised, is that the right word? Jew. When he was young, he was a child in school, as he was very precocious. He was very, very intelligent, very sharp. And they were learning over there about a midrash in school. He was a religious child. He was religious, and he went to school. His parents sent him, and I guess he was genius or close to genius. Anyway, he always had a lot of questions, and it sort of bothered the teacher that he had so many questions. He would disturb the class and ask the questions after class, after class. And anyway, the teacher was telling him the midrash that we learned in the morning in the Lakuti Torah class. It says that in the fourth quarter of the day, that God plays with the Leviathan. The Leviathan. The Leviathan. And what is the story? The story is that in the beginning of the creation, it says that God created a Taninim Agadolim, that God created the big fish. And then afterwards it says, and the Tanin, only one. So it says that one of the fish that God killed. And he salted this fish for the tzaddikim to come, whatever. Anyway, so it says that in the fourth hour of the day that God plays with this big fish. So he lifted up his hand. He said, excuse me, teacher. I mean, isn't that a ridiculous thing to say? I mean, God, you told us God is infinite, and God plays with a fish. God visits a fish every day. Every day, God goes and God, who's infinite, supposed to be infinite, creates all the heavens and the earth, and he plays with a fish. What type of a fish is this that he plays with? So the teacher said, that is how do you say a chutzpah question? That's a chutzpah question. If it says in the midrash, it's true, and it's true, and you don't ask any questions. He said, what do you mean don't ask any questions? This is the Torah. I want to learn the Torah. I mean, the teacher yelled at him again and told him to shut up. So he got very angry. He got very angry. He was a child, maybe he was 13 years old, and he got very angry. And it seems that he even went and asked other people, and nobody had any idea. But at least they didn't get angry. So he said, what is this Judaism business? I asked a question, and maybe the question was a stupid question, but say, I'll look up the answer. I mean, it says in the books. If it says in the books, there must be some sort of an answer to it some way. I just kind of. Anyway, little by little, he was a very introverted child anyway. I mean, he was very intelligent, and his mind was going, much more than his outside connection with the world. So little by little, he became estranged. And when he finally, got out of Hebrew school, so that's all. He stopped putting on tefillin. He stopped, and he became, and he got some sort of a job. I don't know what it was, but very, demanding, high intellect. But he was a very lonely person. Very lonely person. He didn't get along with people. And especially this thing that he had with Judaism, he had like an enemy. He chose for himself an enemy, and his enemy was God and Judaism and the Torah and the rabbis, especially the rabbis and everything like that. But he was miserable. He was a miserable person. So one day he was sitting, I think he went somewhere. He was waiting for a doctor or something like that. In any case, he was waiting somewhere, and he was sitting, and he heard two Chabad boys talking, religious boys. He lived in New York. And he heard these two boys talking. And one of them said, did you hear the Rebbe's speech that he spoke on Shabbat? He spoke like for 3 hours. It was wonderful. No one said, no, I didn't feel good. I didn't hear. He said, oh, he said something really amazing. The Rebbe asked a question. He says that it says in the Midrash that God, the last 3 hours of the day, the last quarter of the day, that God plays with the Leviathan. He plays with the big fish. And the Rebbe said, I mean, does that make any sense? God is infinite. That's what he's got to do, is to play with a fish, And every day goes like, and the person said, oh, that's exactly the question that I asked when I was a child. So the Rebbe said, this is totally not incomprehensible. Why was such a ridiculous thing like that? And the Rebbe went on about it. That makes no sense. So the boy said, the other said, yeah, really, it doesn't make any sense. What? He said, you want to hear the answer? He said, yeah. He said, well, the answer is that in the beginning of the creation, that God created Leviathan and Ben Zugo and its mate and his mate. And he saw that if they fruitful and multiply, that it would destroy the world. So God killed one of the Leviathan, and he said he salted it for the tzaddikim in the world to come, and the other one he left. So, but it ends up that Leviathan, since the beginning of the creation of the world, is lonely. And God doesn't want people to be lonely. He doesn't want anyone to be lonely. So God himself comes and plays with Leviathan every day so that the Leviathan won't be lonely. So this person heard that. He said, man, that's me. You know, that's me. That's talking about me. Rebbe's talking about me. And he went and he wrote a letter to the Rebbe. I think he got Yechidut, and he changed this whole way of life. So that's the point of Judaism. No one should ever be alone, and no one is ever alone. That God is always with each and every one of us. And if necessary, he'll even make a private visit, like there was with this person. Like this person was alone, these two boys. That was God visiting him. Right? He realized that God made a special visit for him. He was the Leviathan. He was alone. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now we'll meet tomorrow morning, God willing, at 8:15.
Thank you so much.